Lots of things have basically gone downwards. I've been buying some things and just kind of wondering and watching and I guess kind of enjoying it. It feels to me like, I was thinking earlier, we've talked a lot in the last couple of years when markets only ever seem to go up. About the idea of, look, they will turn around, interest rates will rise, things will come down, you need to be kind of prepared to see the number on your portfolio thing halve if it comes to it, and so on. And it feels like nothing kind of quite prepares you for that, all of the talking you want about it. I thought it was kind of like learning a game, which is not the greatest comparison, but with something like chess or Monopoly or whatever, you can learn all the rules and have them all kind of said to you and so on, but you learn it much better by just going through a couple of times, and everything falls into place better and you see what you're trying to do. I feel like something similar is kind of going on now, that it's only when you really go through it, there's something that no amount of talking kind of prepares you for watching it go down. And that's not to say it's stopped going down, by the way. I'm sure there's plenty more to come, but we talk about being ready. I guess it's quite hard to actually do that without really kind of living it in a certain way.
I agree. I've been looking at it, and it's weird to see your money and think of it as kind of a game as such, and that's not nice to say sometimes, because we can have quite large sums of money in our accounts, and
well, you can
to think that we're kind of playing with it or just not treating it as serious. It's quite interesting. But I've been looking forward to this. For a couple of years now, because I wanted the test, and I agree with you. I wanted the test. I wanted to know if I can stay in the market and not pull out at a loss. We'll talk about some of the things I've done recently after Steve D's week. What have you been doing this week, Steve?
So I've had a fairly quiet week, really. There's nothing too exciting. I've just sort of loading up in the background. So I keep a spreadsheet of every year and monthly just performance, just jot it all down. And it's funny that you guys say about, like, the trip around the Monopoly board is the best way to learn how to play Monopoly. But the feelings you experience when money goes down, you're not going to repeat. You're not going to get the same feelings next time it happens, because it always happens for different reasons, and the way the reasons, the reasons that come across can affect you differently. So, for instance, when the coronavirus crash happened, the economy was completely shutting down. We didn't know if we'd ever reopen. We didn't know how deadly the disease was. That's a lot different to what we're experiencing now. These are completely different reasons. So your view on coronavirus and the economy shutting down and when and if it ever reopened are going to be different to they are now. But I jot down the things that have spooked the market. So over the last sort of 3 years, here's just a taste of the things that I've jotted down. So crazy year, high asset inflation, quantitative easing, accommodative Fed and accommodative central banks across the world, 2 consecutive growth stock hits, war in Ukraine, inflation at 8%, Fed quantitative tightening, war in Ukraine continues, interest rate hikes, cost of living crisis, Russia nuclear war threat, China threatening Taiwan, inflation currently at 10%. So they're just some of the things we've experienced over the last 3 years since I've started jotting down these things. So they'll all punch you in the gut in a slightly different way, I'm afraid to tell you, but stomaching them now does mean that you'll be able to stomach them in the future, but it's a different kind of stomaching every time you come across it. But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. It was just interesting that you brought it up, and I thought, maybe that might be worth reading it out. But maybe in 5 years' time I'll read that out to you again, and it'll be even more devastating. But yeah, they're the things we've been through. Paul, I've heard of Edward Scissorhands, but you've been a bit Paul Paperhands recently. What's happened?
No, I like that. I like that you've been writing that down. I'd love to see a comparison to, say, the 70s and then one in the 80s as well, and do 3-year comparisons with that. Because one of my favourite interviews that I've done is with Chuck. Whether you like his value investing style or his dividend investing style or not is by the by. But what he told me in that interview was that this, like you say, it's all different, but it's the level and intensity that the media and things gets to you each time to make you think that this time it's different. And in truth, It's not, is it? When you really look at the bigger picture, it's not different. I mean, China, you mentioned China in your list there. 2014, we had a Chinese problem again, and we recovered from that quite differently. In the same, we've had the interest rates as well, so there are other things that have led to the market recovering all the time. But now, the media or some of the big pundits are suggesting a Great Depression too. Are you fearful of that at all, or is this one of the things we're going to take it in the gut?
Look, they know how to sell papers, and now they just know how to sell clicks. It's no different. They know that the attention-grabbing headline is what sells, so they're going to, whatever happens, the dial on that is just going to get whacked up to the max because they need to create fear, because fear gets you clicking. It also gets you going back as well, just to double-check whether, see if that thing has happened yet. And the vast majority of the time, it doesn't happen. And I guess we'll see that with a lot of the things that are on that list. China threatening Taiwan, well, that's kind of been happening for quite a while. And I mean, from 2014 through to 2022, we all thought that, Russia continuing to invade Ukraine was just a little bit of saber rattling. And then obviously that turned out to be the wrong thing as well. But there was 8 years there where, you could have almost been finished investing over that period, the way the markets went up. So, it would not have been something to sit and stay away from. But yeah, it's just interesting. I just think it's interesting. It's one of those things that I would encourage everybody to do, because you can just go back and look at all the things you've invested through, and you can say to yourself, next time there's some massive problem, like they probably should really add that the UK pension system's about to collapse. But that's another thing you can add to your list of things, and it's just something for you to look back into. I made it through all of this stuff. I can make it through whatever the next problem is.